That's one set, yeah.
You'd like,
If you have another one, that would have
if there's another.
Uh-huh.
one.
There are some changes, Jackie, Scott, the ones that, I haven't sent you the most recent version, but I can, if you want to just wait and look at it. All right. So then,
Thank you.
The financial statements were included in your packet. If you'll look at the balance sheet, you can see that the U.S. Bank assessments account at the end of September, we had received $244,000 in cash against the assessment that's 1.1 million. So we have about 20% in. I know that a lot of people, including me, have gone with a multi-payment plan. I don't know what number of apartments have paid yet. All I can do is give you the number here. So we've got $244,000 sitting there because we haven't spent anything yet. Under the accounts receivable, you can see that we still are owed $895,000 under the AR assessments. And those are really the big deals on the balance sheet. Are there any questions on the balance sheet? Okay, moving on to the profit and loss, which is really lopsided looking because of our $1.1 million assessment, which of course did not occur last year in such a large number. Last year we had an last year we had $264,000 assessment. So we have a much larger revenue this year. You can see in the far column, under total income, we're showing $941,000 more than prior year. And that's completely because of the assessment in the current year. The net income down at the bottom on the far right is over $1 million more than the prior year. And again, it's because of the assessment in 2012. The little FNs out at the side are items that I footnoted in your footnotes that go out with the financial statements each month. So if there's any item that's $10,000 or more, I investigate with Ann and Barney and write footnotes to explain to you why there's a difference. Are there any questions on the profit loss statement?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So on the profit and loss statement, the special assessment is listed in whole, but on the balance sheet, only what we've received.
If you look at the balance sheet and you take the U.S. Bank assessments amount, that $243,000, and you add the accounts receivable assessments amount,
Okay.
because we've not spent anything, those two items will equal the revenue.
Okay.
And as we get money, that AR assessment number will go down and the bank balance will go up.
Sure.
And the final sheet here is the reserve expenditure detail, which hasn't changed for several months. In October, we paid approximately $5,000 to replace the cooler on 3300 as part of redoing the roof. So that's going to tip us over our budgeted amount for 2012. But it cost a lot less to do it while there were people up on the roof and we had the crane then waiting. So that was done.
Thank you.
That's my report.
Also, silly question, newbie. So we're not really doing anything against the reserve expenditures, but we are spending quite a bit yet on the building repairs and maintenance. Is there a way to find out what we've spent so far this year on that? Can I get a hold of that? Is there a way to
There
find
is a,
that?
I
There's a
think
line
there's a
of items
page
here.
here
Oh.
that lists all the reserve expenditures up to
The 100, are you asking about the $115,000?
Yes, the
What's in there?
$115,000, which is separate than the reserve expenditures account,
right,
which is what we have there.
I'll recognize it.
Sure. Barney, do you want to ask Ann
Well,
for a
Well,
big
70 is
breakdown
gonna be
of
the
that?
water main, right?
Yeah, if I could get a
70,000.
hard copy, that'd be amazing.
Okay, but real basically, 70 water main,
Okay.
10,000 for all the chimney caps at 3365.
Okay.
So was that gets us to 80.
These are
Well,
all the- these are
actually,
all
the
things
water
that took
main
us to
and the caps are in
on our
reserve
reserves.
expenditures.
Okay.
It is not in the building repairs and maintenance. So you'll need to
Okay, so
ask Ann to
okay.
run something and do a summary
okay.
Thanks.
and send it out to the board.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
Because I'm just hearing this. Are the special assessment figures being folded into
No.
budget figures?
No.
Or is this just,
What do you mean? Folded into, there's a separate line for the expenditures on profit and loss statement once we start spending.
okay,
We've created a separate line for the bank balance, so you can see how much money we have available, and a separate line for what is still due. So we've broken out all the pieces of that special assessment, so we can track it.
okay,
The expenditures that Jenny was asking about are elsewhere on the budget,
The building, the regular building repair
And,
work.
and that money was actually spent before the assessment. You could say that it was one of the reasons we were driven to the decision, but
No, we're not over budget.
not yet.
No.
Good.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Just one, sir. When are you gonna start working on the replacement reserve problem? Because the lack thereof is the reason where we're at right now. But it's not this board's fault, it goes way back.
Yeah.
And if you fail to do it again and you're still here in 20 years, you'll be back here doing what you're doing right now.
Good point. One thing that I've neglected to point out when we talked about this at our homeowners meetings recently is that we actually do have a reserve analysis. It's not complete, but it's pretty substantial, and it was worked out. We asked Barney to work on it and get advice of outsiders to help him in trying to sort out what he should be looking for and getting expert estimates of what replacement costs would be. So we have the beginnings of one. We already had this a year ago. And that's gonna form the nugget, the kernel for for the ongoing attempts. That'll be the thing we'll be updating, assessing, reassessing, reviewing at least annually. This is one of the things that came up in our discussions today about things that are needed to be included in the model of what services we expect to be performed by anyone who is gonna manage this place.
And
And
we
annually,
looked at it
they
as
would
part of the
review.
budgeting process last year.
Yeah, it's gonna
Right.
stay the same. That would be a main
Yeah.
thing that we
Yeah.
would look at while budgeting for
Right.
next year.
Yeah, and on both of the models for offsite management, we require that firm, before they produce the annual budget, do a review of the reserve, do a review of the reserve analysis and a review of how the reserve fund is, and consider, make recommendations in the budgeting part, but independently of the budget as we go forward in November with the budget. So, yeah, so that's definitely gonna be part of the process. So if there aren't any more questions, I think we can move on. I finally remember that I don't have to ask for a vote on that, so that's no reason. Barney?
Okay, shortest manager report you guys have ever gotten. You like that? I do want to take advantage of just something that's moving fast. So you all got an email about the ditch lawyer, but there's been an update even later today. And this guy Bernie wants your approval, and he does not want to wait till next year because this is, how the developer is saying it's thousands of dollars every day. He's got an agreement in hand. So what I sent you about a half hour ago is the agreement, the stipulation that we want the developer to pay all of our legal costs and engineer costs. Copy went to Mueller Graff, copy went to Charles Keene. And I guess there is a little bit of a trust issue. Do we trust this guy Bernie? He came from Mueller Graff. He's got a hell of a resume. It looks good to me. He's gonna want
We've
us
been
to,
relying on him all along. I see no reason to stop.
he's Coors water.
And we're
I
gonna end up,
checked him out.
and we're gonna end up in court if we don't. Because
If
this
we drag
guy's
this
not
on,
going away.
Yeah, he wants to be able to say yes to this agreement, but I need your approval. And if we can do it by email, like tomorrow or Monday, he'd like it tomorrow. But you'll see in the email I say that my understanding is you're gonna pay all these fees and all that, so.
Directly to the vendor.
Well, and give me that back. Or you can even include him if you want. You guys are BCC and you're all in it, so. But
Well,
I
if the board approves the idea in general, Lynn and I can go over the details and.
okay, that would be
start
great.
Barney.
Because the developer
Go
will
ahead with it since.
fight us if we take a month now to answer it.
About the canal work.
Right, like I was here to speak.
He was all,
That's the guy.
he is gonna speak when things are, we have time for it. I told him no, we don't have time.
He is the gentleman that was here last month.
No, that was the engineer,
Okay.
Charles. This is, we actually escalated and got a water attorney. This is the water attorney for Coors, he does all their ditches, Bernie, Harris. And he has hammered out an agreement with the developer.
Excuse me, can you explain what you're talking about?
So a developer approached us in the summer, they want us to sign a consent on making changes to the ditch lateral upstream of us. And we said if you pay for our engineer and lawyer to review and approve. And it got sticky, it got slow, they started threatening us. So our Moeller Graff lawyer gave us a water lawyer, he negotiated a settlement. It gives us rights to protect the flow, and we can go on property above us, and
Is this a ditch?
it's the ditch.
Yeah,
So it
It's-
hasn't happened before, why do we have to deal with it now?
because
we
they're,
have-
they're making, because they're making changes to the ditch, which they have a reasonable grounds to do because they own rights to this.
They're not working on our property, but
They
they're
own
working
rights to
upstream
the
of
water
us.
as
Can I
well.
ask how much this is? How much are we looking at?
It's not costing us anything.
Our stipulation is we don't pay it down.
Oh, except for Moeller Graff.
No,
Oh, they pay
no,
for that too?
I'm saying pay every
Oh,
time.
good, good, good.
You got a question behind it?
Barney, when you say flow, are you talking about the quantity
Uh,
or the carrier, which is the ditch itself?
It's quantity and it's also quality, because the design allows a lot of debris.
Okay,
And it's access to it in case we're like, wow, our water's not working, and we go upstream and there's a problem.
In delivery, one of the things that they had shown or suggested was that there would be a manual gate of some kind. And this type of thing, you know, is not something we're going to agree to, and that's why you get in this discussion with people who have different motives
yeah.
and so forth. So, I mean, we wanted to consider everything because this thing is really critical to our campus. Watering trees, watering the lawns. We didn't have water this year. You can see the effects.
That's my second point though. If our water rights are adjudicated, they can't change those very easily. Those are locked in under Colorado law.
No, that's right.
But
And
there's
this
also a
is not
stipulation in
challenge
the
to our
ditch
rights.
that says we have to allow neighbors to make modifications. It's in
Yeah.
the,
But they're not going to try to reduce our quantity of water.
my understanding is,
Okay, they
no.
can't really.
No, this is not a, the dispute is not over who has what rights. It's actually
They're
over
rebuilding the ditch, but there was a third
access
party.
to the structure that they want to build in order to change the way the water is handled for reasons that go to
For
the
building
structure
homes.
of these homes they're gonna build. And the water lawyer has told us that the way that the engineer is recommending, if they follow the engineer's advice, it will satisfy our needs.
Our engineers advice.
Our
They actually think it'll be better. It actually does rebuild a
Okay.
portion of the
Just so
flow
we're not
upstream
giving
of us.
something up.
No, absolutely. I think we need a motion for this one.
Do we need to approve it tonight? Can we do Barney's suggested solution by email so that we can look at the agreement?
Well, if we can do it by tomorrow. Like
He wanted an
for a long
agreement
time.
today. I said I absolutely cannot get an agreement today, but he is trying to negotiate a time thing. This time is part of the money thing.
How about this, Matt?
It's on your email.
Would you write up a motion that you'll send to all of us?
Sure.
I think we can
Um,
do this by email.
And,
You
we're-
think
and,
we
can?
because look,
Yeah, so that way
I-
I'll move by
It's in your
email.
inbox.
we can't actually do business by email, I'm sorry. That's the violation of the bylaws. However, you can tell me to go ahead informally, and then we can have a retroactive agreement about this at the next board meeting.
Okay.
And there are lots of things that are done this way, and it's not, as long as you guys are comfortable, and no one thinks that something suspicious is happening, this is something that we often have to do, and I do actually have the power to do it, as long as you give me the go-ahead informally. Because I could decide to do it on my own, that's how scary things really are.
Moeller Graf has a copy, our engineer has a copy, Bernie of course has a copy, and you